back over here. That ought to have been it. Now we hit enter. Now we got a good cool 15 bars there. Enter, you know, our 15 bars, whatever. All right. Hey, what's up, folks? Today is July the 12th, 2025. Again, I'm recording this on Party. I'm trying to get enough videos going on where it makes sense for you guys to actually be able to tune in and get something useful. And so I'll often, now that I used to record on the same day that I would post, now I'm recording ahead of time so I can make sure that I have enough cool things to show you guys. So again, thanks to all the new subscribers. Thanks to everybody tuning in. Please, you know, watch the videos as much as you can. I know I ramble a lot, and that's because I like to talk, but I definitely get things accomplished too. So if you need to fast forward or put my videos on a fast pace, playback speed, then do that. But by all means, try to get toward the end of the video so that you can get the good stuff. Okay, so today what I wanted to do is I had an idea. So I have to show you on another video, but when I go and I look at my charts, I'm actually looking, I'll look back from one chart to the next, and I'll have multiple workspaces open. And so then I'll be able to see a lot of things going on the charts. Okay, so I'll open up a new workspace here. We'll just leave it at ES. All right, so then when I look at one chart compared to another, I may have, say, two charts up here. I'm going to paste that, go up here to window, arrange horizontally, and then you'll see this. Okay, so, but if I want to go on here and I want to do, say, a vertical line here, or vertical line here, or vertical line here, and go back and a vertical line here. Then when I'm looking at, say, this chart up here, so I can do a global position. So I have it as a hot, kind of a hotkey on my mouse, but you can go up to workspace tracking, that kind of thing. And then you have the T on there. So then when you click the T, it'll move the chart on the workspace. It'll move the other charts on the workspace to the same location. So I was sitting here going over some charting, some market observation this morning, and I said, hey, it would be cool if I could, because instead of me going sideways and trying to find where I was the last time, and then I know that this was an area that I was interested in, but when I zoom in, that area disappears, and now I found it, and now I'm looking for the other one to the left. Oh, there it is. Now I'm looking for the other one to the left, and I have to keep click. Oh, there it is. So I said, wouldn't it be cool if I was just to hit like a hotkey and it would go to it automatically? So that's what I'm in the pursuit of making today. I'm just going to use a vertical line, and then so when I press something on the screen, that I will be able to toggle from one vertical line to the next. Okay, so we're going to use a couple things here. One of the most important things that we're going to use is charting host. So we're going to go to toolbox. We're going to go to charting host. Double click on that. That adds the charting host to our workspace. Let's delete that one. Okay, and so the name of this one is called Track Vertical Lines. All right, so we're going to have a couple namespaces here. EL system. I don't think we need them all, but I'm just going to go ahead and pull them up, and that way I won't have to go back and find them later. All right, and then we need vector. EL system collections. Okay, so we're going to have a variable. We're going to have a vector that's going to save our vertical lines. So that's why I call it V lines. Okay, and then we're going to have a once block. So this is going to happen at the beginning of the chart. Now, depending on how you do this, you can, every time you add a new vertical line to the chart, you can go ahead and rerun this kind of a thing. But I'm going to do X load lines at the beginning of the chart. And again, this is not comprehensive. This video is not all the things that you can do. It's just one thing that you can do, is something to get you started. All right, I'm gonna have a variable there, enter your IDX of A for my index so I can loop through. All right, and then in. All right, so what I want to do is I want to load the lines. I want to load what lines? Well, the lines are in the drawing objects category. So for IDX of A equals 0 to drawing objects, items. So the items collection is 15, which is the vertical lines collection. All right, dot at IDX of A. Oh no, so we're just going to get the count for right now. We'll copy that, move this down here, and then we'll say for this many vertical lines in this drawing objects collection, dot count -1. We're going to begin. What are we going to do? We need to save all these things into the vertical lines vector. Okay, so now this vertical line here, the vertical line in this collection at this index as type vertical line, we're going to save it to a temporary line, which is a vertical line, temp line, T line. And again, in the method, you don't have to give it an initial declaration. All right, so we're going to do temporary line, T line is equal to whatever is in this index as vertical line. Okay, and then we also need a date time DT point. Date time point DTP. Okay, so now that we have this new align signed temporarily, DTP is equal to, which is date time point, is the T line dot points of 0. The vertical line will only have one date time point of 0. So it's just going to be the points because, we're going to save it as type DT point. I think that's right. So we're going to pull the date time point of this temporary line as a date time point, assign it to this date time point. Okay, and then we're going to say VLines dot pushback. So it's the vector where we're collecting all these date time bars. Date time point dot date time of bar. Okay, so now we've stored the date times into this vector here. Okay, so now what are we going to do with it after we've saved it into the vector? Now, all right, so this is what we're doing. When we first open the chart, we're loading all these lines. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go over to our charting host 2. We're going to go, if we do a key down, we're going to double click that, which automatically starts us a method here. We're going to say if args.key. I don't feel like that came up right. Args. Nope, didn't come down right. Come up right. That, tell you what, let's do this and verify. No errors. Okay. On key down, charting hosts, element click, on key down. Well, I mean, that's what it is. So if args dot something is missing. Something is missing. So we're saying that if the argument, if the args that is being sent from this charting host on key down, if it is equal to virtual keys dot enter, then we want to let's print something. Make sure we're on the right page. We're going to print the number 1. Verify that. Okay, and see, I verified no errors. Args.key, no errors. So again, EO system, system.drawing objects, system. I wonder why it's not giving us the args like it typically does. I don't know. Well, typically when it does that, like if you type something and you hit the dot operator, now it works. You know, like I said, TradeStation is not perfect. It's not perfect. So anyway, we're gonna come over here. We're gonna sorry, is it already on? No, it's not on. All right, so let's add it. Track vertical lines. This is to show me. Track vertical lines. Enter and enter. Okay, and now turn it on. And when we turned it on, we didn't get what we were looking for. We actually got an error. Object reference not set as an instance of an object. Now, what would that be? Okay, so at the beginning of the chart, we're loading the lines. And then when we load the lines, we are saying for index of A, oh, you know what? We didn't instantiate our vertical lines, right? So we're using the vector. We're using the vector here, but we hadn't initialized, instantiated. So vlines is equal to new vector. All right, so now we're gonna come back over here, turn it back on, and then when we hit enter on the screen, we have focus on our chart, and we've clicked in the chart. Now we hit enter button. All right, see, get the 1. All right, so now that we know that that's working, that the method for the event handler is working, now instead of it returning enter, let's begin in. So now we want to scroll to different parts of the screen. Okay, so we're going to scroll to the part of the screen that is stored in the vector. This date time bar is stored in the vector. Okay, so how would you do that? Charting host 2 dot scroll to parentheses date time value. What is the date time value? Is the date time of the bar in the vector. Okay, so we need to go to the vector v-lines of what? Let's use integer count cycle, because essentially we're just going to cycle through as type, and these are stored as a date time. It's not stored as a double, it's stored as a date time. Okay, when I was working on it initially, I thought this was being stored as a double, but it's not. It's a date time. So date time. Okay, so as type date time, but again, every time we hit the enter key, we want to cycle from one to the next to the next. So in order to do that, we need to cycle through our indexes from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 to the count of the vector, right? All right, so now how do we get through the count of the vector? We're going to have an integer. And now this is very important. This integer has to be integer bar persist, because we will be changing this count cycle within a bar. Okay, so if we don't make an integer bar persist, we're going to lose the value, and it's going to stay at whatever the initial value is. Okay, so we're going to start the initial value at 0, which will be the first index in the vector, right? Because the vectors are 0 base. Okay, so from count cycle, so we'll say that, so we'll just do count cycle. And then once we get done scrolling to this first one, then we will do count cycle plus equals 1. Now, if we get to the end of the vector, where we're at the vector count minus 1, that's the last index, right? So last index of a 0 base vector is the count minus 1. All right, so that being said, if we're scrolling through this count cycle and we actually get to the count, not count 1, count 1 is okay, we have that index, but if we actually get one additional, if we get to the count, then we've gone too far. We won't be in a correct index. So while we're adding 1 to each of these, we need to say if count cycle is equal to the lines dot count, then count cycle needs to start back over at 0. Okay, and we also only want to scroll through here. We might not have a vertical line on the chart, and so then this is going to be trying to pull the line, the vector index of the first index when we don't have anything in here. So we should only really be coming through and doing this stuff if we have something in the vector. So if vlines.count is greater than 0, then begin, move that forward, end. All right, verify that, no errors. Oh, I like that. All right, come back over here. All right, so now we're just going to hit enter, 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 enter. All right, so you see what's happening? It's scrolling us to, this is the beginning of the chart, right? This is the date time. This is the date time of the line. So it's scrolling us to that next one, to the next one, right? Right there, to the next one, right there. All right, so what do you want to do if, this is way too close to the edge, right? I can't really maybe I just don't want it to be right here. Maybe I want it to be this far out, right? So let's say if we just go give it a 15 bar space, how would we do that? Well, I would say that what we do is we just adjust the date time of the bar, 15 minutes. And I mean, you might do a case switch. So if you're on the 5-minute time frame, 15 minutes would be 3 bars. If you're on the 1-minute time frame, 15 minutes would be 15 bars. So I don't know. Let's see. Date time of bar. What we could do is we could store. I wonder, could we DTP date time of bar? Date time. All right, I'll tell you what. Let's try this. Let's try having a new object, date time. We're going to call it TDT, temporary date time. All right, we're going to say TDT is equal to this date time of bar here, right? Cut that out, paste it right there. So that's the date time of the bar. Now we're going to take TDT and we're going to, because that's the date time of the bar. Yeah, I mean, we could, like I said, we could remove, but I don't think we'd be able to say, let's take the bar date. I know we can. I can't think of how to do it right now. Take that bar date time and take X number of bars prior. Because this is the date time of bar, so we wouldn't be able to do a historical like 5 bars back. So TDT, like I said, we can remove the minutes. Bar date time. Bar date time dot from. Do we have a from? No. All right, so that might be another video. Gosh, that'd be cool. So I'll be thinking about that. All right, but so what we're going to do is we're just going to say, all right, so the TDT dot add minutes, and then we're just going to do 15. All right, and then clear that parentheses, and then we're going to add TDT as type bar date time. I imagine we can as type it. TDT, because it's already its own bar date time. All right, so anyway, I'm gonna come back over here, and then we'll hit enter. We went too far. We didn't go too far. When we're adding the minutes, we added 15. We need to remove 15, right? So we go on the left side. All right, so come back over here, verify there. Okay, now enter. Perfect, right? So 15 minutes. All right, 15 minutes. Now, like I said, if we go into the 5-minute time frame, that changes. Now, again, we remove 15 minutes, but it's only, since we're on the 5-minute time frame, it's only 5 bars or 4 bars, whatever it is. Okay. All right, so you got to keep that in mind. Like I said, I know that I think there is a way that we can take the TDT, which is the bar date time. I don't think you can do that. I don't think you can just do that. So it'll be saying, all right, this is the bar date time, and do it at 15 bars prior to that. I don't think that's how that works. No. Right, because it's got to have a history, and we don't have a history with this, right? Because the square brackets is referring to history. It's not just that many bars back. So, all right, but what would we essentially be doing? So, if we wanted to get 5 bars, then we would be saying we need to multiply the number of bars times and it's going to change based on minutes or hours, but that's a good thing about TradeStation is when you put your time in. So if we want to do an hour chart, you wouldn't put in 1 hour. You put in 60 minutes, right? So that might be to our advantage, and that's an hour. Okay, so that might be to our advantage. So what we could say is we could say we have a intrabar persist. Well, it wouldn't even need to be intrabar persist because it's at the beginning of the chart. Intrabar persist. We'll just do T-span and then 0. And so we'll say the interval, not the interval type, because that'd be minutes, seconds. Interval range? It's not the range. Now I forgot what the interval. Let me do this because I have shortcuts. I have functions for this stuff, so I don't come back to interval type very often. So interval type, data interval type. It's going to return that interval type for 30-second chart. 5-minute chart returns 1. 5 minutes. That's minute. That gives us the type. Yeah, I'm looking for the interval, not the interval type. Uh-oh. Interval. Man, why is this so? Why is this so? All right, let's open up my function. It's called TF because I would have used it in that because that's what I use for my time frame. For my time frame function, I use that, and so I don't, like I said, I don't work with the interval. Bar interval. Bar interval. Bar type. If it is 0, number string. Number to string bar interval. Oh. Bar interval. Okay, so not interval type. Okay, bar interval. All right, so it's not just interval, but it's bar interval. And you know what? It's kind of sad that when I went here to the help and I type in interval, well, it might be. Yeah, it's way down there. Okay, all right. My bad. So bar interval. So we're gonna do the, what do we call this? T-span. T-span is going to be equal to bar interval, which is going to be that number. All right, let's see. So, what are we going to do? Divide, multiply. We want to get 15 bars either way. So, minutes. What we want to say. So we want to get 15. So 15 divided by bar interval. Is that right? Is that it? 15 divided by bar interval, because if this bar interval was 1, then this would be 15. If this was 5, then this would be 3. All right. That feels right. Now 15 times 1 is 15. 15 times 5 is going to be X whatever. All right, so we're going to go T-span. So T-span is going to be minus T-span. There we go. All right. And now verify. I'm gonna come back over here. That ought to have been it. Now we hit enter. Now we got a good cool 15 bars there. Enter, our 15 bars, whatever. All right. Okay, let's go back. All right, so we're gonna hit enter, 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 enter. And you see it goes back to the beginning of the collection, at the beginning of the, all right, enter, enter. It just keeps cycling through, right? So wherever we are on the chart. Very good. All right, so now we're gonna put it back on the 1 minute time frame, make sure that works too. Hit enter, 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 enter. Very good. Yeah, so, I mean, we're not infallible here. All right, so, yeah, I wish I could say that I had everything figured out all the time, but I don't. Sometimes I got to think through things too. All right, guys, that's pretty much it for me. I hope you got something out of this video. If not just that Eric is not the best mathematician. If you have any comments or ideas or ways that I can improve those math skills, let me know. But unless I write something like that down or sketch it out, I just really had to do it visually. But I typically don't take the time to sketch it out, which would work better for me. But I don't do it. So anyway, yeah, I'm Eric. I'm out. Peace.